Well, good afternoon, and welcome yet to another exciting edition of Talking Sports. I am your host, Marvelous Merv Richards, or Merv to Serve. I'm mostly known to many as just simply MR. My in-house guest this afternoon is none other than Steve Brown, who I went to school with, and a former national athlete for Antigua and Barbuda in many events. As a matter of fact, when we were going to school, I think it was between himself and Sobi, and also Greenaway, who participated in more than one events, And our other studio guest will be Everton Cornelius, who will be joining us a little later. He's the president of the Antigua and Barbuda Athletics Association and also a member of NASEC. What is that? That's it? Which is the North American and Caribbean. No, NACA, which is the North American and the Caribbean Athletics Committee. And he'll be joining us a little later. But we have some special guests on Zoom who will join us a little later. That being Cuthbert Jacobs, a name that has been branded around when there are discussions and a debate about speed. He will be joining us a little later also. And Lester Flax, two legendary track and field stars, will join us a little later. But we will start, and Steve, we don't have a gun to say, but I can tell you, get on the mark, get set. But our producer Mark certainly would not allow any guns in here. So we'll just start to ask you, like, where did it all start for you with athletics, and was it something that you found out at an early age that you wanted to do?
Yes, Mervyn, thanks for inviting me. I did find out at an early age. It was probably in 1961 or so. I was then attending the St. John's Boys School, and hadn't heard much about sports day and that sort of thing, having come from a Spring Gardens Moravian primary school. But one day a message came to the classroom: you need to come outside for standard points, which was, standard points didn't mean anything to me at the time. I went outside only to be instructed that I needed to participate in each event and to try to accomplish a particular standard. And I believe that first morning I did a high jump for the first time. I ran 100 yards for the first time. I ran a 220 for the first time. I ran a 440 for the first time. I was called upon to do everything in that one morning, and I believe I attempted an 880. Wasn't very successful at that on my first attempt. There was an older student by the name of Albert, I remember his first name, Sylvester Albert, who was participating in the pole vault, and I thought it was something I would like to try. And in a very short time, he showed me how to do it, and I was hooked from that time. So I participated for 2 years at the St. John's Boys School in Division 4, which of course is the lowest division. And then I switched schools, went to the TOR Memorial High School, where there was no track and field. So for just about 5 terms, I kept hoping I'd get an opportunity. Something did come up in between, and there was a national meet, and I had an opportunity to participate in the high jump and the long jump. Once I arrived at the Antigua Grammar School, arrived there in September, and the following year would have been probably in February, this whole thing about standard points came about again. And I participated. I tried to make the standard points, and I think I actually made the standard points in all of the track and field events. Good enough to give my house some points in most of them, not competitive enough to participate in most of them on sports day. Wasn't good enough. But certainly got bitten by the bug then. My specialty events were, well, high jump, pole vault, long jump, and triple jump, in which I participated. And on sports day, I would also participate maybe in 2 additional events.
Well, how did you get to grammar school now? where I met you?
Grammar school, long history in my family. My father had gone to Antigua Grammar School. Both of my godfathers, in the name of George Wade and Patrick Sheepy Evanson, had gone to the Antigua Grammar School, and several of my cousins, Evansons, had attended the Antigua Grammar School, and an uncle-in-law, Bert Joseph, had attended the Antigua Grammar School. So there was encouragement to go there. Mr. Sam, Red Samuel, Sir Reginald Samuel now, had been to the Antigua Grammar School and was teaching at the Antigua Grammar School, and was an old friend of my father's. So a lot of encouragement. Encouragement with probably a little bit of, I don't know, fear or apprehension, because you heard so much about what was expected if you ended up at the Antigua Grammar School. But once I got there, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the time there. The camaraderie, made some very good friends, such as yourself. When I left the St. John's Boys School, I left your brother there, Viv Richards, who even back then was a phenomenal athlete. And then he later joined me at the Antigua Grammar School, and many friends. Wouldn't try to mention all of them, but some of them had an immense influence on my athletic career and athletic abilities.
Now, you also went to Morris State. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got there?
Yes, Morris State University. Actually, when you spoke with me a couple of weeks ago, I started thinking back and remembering how I got to Morris State. Fred Sobey had left Antigua. I had been in Fred's track club here in Antigua, Mercury, track team or track club it was called. And when Fred left Antigua, he continued to communicate with some of his friends, one of them being Owen O'Neill, now deceased, who was a fantastic 220 runner. And so I got to know where Fred was, but it wasn't Fred's direct intervention which got me to Morris State. 50 years ago, last month, I participated in the Texaco Southern Games in Trinidad and met the U.S. track coach who thought I was good enough to go, for a scholarship. He thought I had another year of high school, and when I told him I didn't, he made some inquiries at his college, his university, having said to me that when he left to come down to Trinidad, there were only 1 or 2 scholarships remaining, but that he would check and see if they were available. As it turns out, they were not available, but he called a friend of his who turned out to be the track coach at Murray State University, Bill Cornell, now deceased as well. And the way he put it was that, I have good news for you and I have bad news for you. Which would you like? I said, give me the bad news. He said, the bad news is we don't have any scholarships at my university. So what's the good news? He said, I believe you know someone by the name of Frederick Sobey. And I said, yes. He said, I called Fred's coach this morning, and while I was speaking with him about you, Fred entered his office, and I heard him say to Fred, ask Fred, do you know a lad by the name of Steve Brown? And in the background he heard Fred say, is he interested? That's him on the phone. If he's interested, we should get him. And that is how I ended up at Murray State University.
Okay, now when you got to Murray State, what was it like? Because it was in the 70s, was it?
1971.
Okay.
August 1971. Well, between the time of the Trinidad meet and when I arrived there, I was in communication with Fred by letter, and at the Southern Games also that year was another grammar school athlete, Patrick Francis, who also at the time was attending Murray State University, and he had come down to be part of our Antigua team at the Southern Games. And he attempted to prepare me for what Murray State would be like, what running track, would be like. And that summer he came home to spend some time with his mom and sought to whip me into shape for the start of the track season. Once I got to Murray, I should interject here that Cuthbert Jacobs, who I believe is going to be joining us later, he and I went to Murray State at the same time in August 1971. And Cuthbert I had known from when we were much smaller. Cuthbert and I had met at church and Sunday school, had competed against each other. Cuthbert had attended the Princess Margaret School and was excellent back then. Cuthbert had participated again. He was an excellent 220-yard runner, but he also participated in, like a lot of us, in several events: high jump, long jump. He was a phenomenal athlete. He also played soccer or football. We arrived there at the same time, and so when we got there, the other Antiguans there were, of course, Fred Sobey, Granville Buckley, Pat Francis, and another grammar school, or former grammar school boy, Stephen Claxton. Now, Stephen was not on the track team, but had come to Murray, having been encouraged by Fred and Pat to do so. He was looking for a university and discovered that Murray could be a good fit. There were a few Antiguans there, and the tuition fees were reasonable compared to what they would have been had he stayed in New York.
Okay, but tell me something too, right? Were there other Caribbean
at Murray?
At Murray, yeah?
Yes, there were, I believe when I arrived there were 2 runners from Jamaica. We were joined later by 2 more. The 2 who were there were Ashman Samuel, and he and I are still very close friends. We communicate fairly often. He's back living in Jamaica. And there was a Randy Smith. Later on, we were joined, Randy graduated, and we were joined by Roy Bloomfield and Michael Campbell.
But tell me something.
We continue to be in communication with each other.
Morris State was with a specialty with track and field, or you would say, because I noticed that there were a lot of Antiguans who
we made them. We made that one of their specialties. I'd like to think, but Morris State had always had a reasonably good basketball team and football team within the Ohio Valley Conference. In later years and in more recent times, they've produced teams that have gone to the NCAA finals and quarterfinals in both of those events. But Murray had an excellent cross-country team as well. Okay. And some of the athletes who ran cross-country, a couple of them participated on the track team. And Fred Sobey, never to be outdone, he participated in a few times in cross-country activities.
Okay. Okay, we're going to take a little break just to advise our viewers that this program is made possible by ACB, Caribbean, Cecil Charles Group of Companies, and Blue Waters, plumbing and electrical supplies. So, continue. And first of all, I want to let you know, right, that this is a program that we let you talk, eh? We let you talk, we let you tell your stories, and share your thoughts as to about the sport that you love and what it has done for you, and anything that you would like to pass on to upcoming athletes, you know.
Okay, so it might not run chronologically,
okay.
but I would like to say that had I not gotten the opportunity to go to Morris State, my life might have turned out differently. When I was offered a scholarship to Morris State, I was at the time wondering if I would get to university. We had made arrangements for me to do maybe a 1-year certificate, or a 2 or 3 year diploma. But once the Morris State offer was on the table, things changed rapidly. And so I was able to go to Morris State, and the only disappointment at Morris State was when I got injured and had to stop running. But they were so good there, and coach was so good there, that he still assisted where he could. He introduced me to people who could assist with scholarships, other scholarships, with financial assistance for my studies. And I must say I've been blessed by having good family members who all pitched in and participated. And Morris State was a good place to be. It happens also to be the place where I met my wife. Okay. And she was from a town about 20 miles north of Murray called Mayfield. And so, they said, my grandmother used to say, everything happened for a purpose. Maybe that's why God put me at Murray, was to spend time with my buddies and to meet my wife.
So you finished your degree in another university?
No, I finished I did the first degree, first degree at Morris State. I did a Bachelor of Science in the Department of Industrial Technology and Industrial Education, and I studied manufacturing and industrial technology.
Fantastic.
I then moved on After I graduated at Murray, I moved on to the University of Southwest Louisiana. As it was named then, it's now the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And did a second degree and did a professional degree in architecture.
Fantastic. Okay. Now we have been joined by none other than Everton Cornelius, who is the president of the Antigua and Barbuda Athletics Association, and also, as I was telling you, a member of NACA, which is the North American and Caribbean Athletic Committee.
And I'll interject here, and also a graduate of Murray State University.
I have a feeling that Murray State was some part of it.
It was an Antigua thing. I think it's in that way, because everybody who lived in culture in the 70s and early 80s was going to Murray.
Fantastic, fantastic. So you know, everybody have their own little story, you know, and I want to thank you and welcome you to Talking Sports. And I'd asked Steve a question: how did it all start? You know, athletics for you. You know, if that was an early sign, you know, somebody saw you running down the road at speed and said, "Look, this guy could be."
Well, I think for me, somewhat, it's not somebody seeing me running down the road, but it's me just kind of crazy, if I want to put it that way. You know, you're small, you're going jumping off a building, jumping out a tree, and you know, you find things to do. And I think for me, growing up, age 9, 10, 11, I gravitate towards a little golf, because we had our little mini golf course just right next door to me.
Right.
So we had that, and when we were not hitting the golf, we played a little cricket, and then we had to think about track and field. So then I marked my own little track in the same pasture right next to me, and that's the way I started running around and pole vaulting and jumping and hard going. And I talk about pole vaulting and a hard going, you know, jumping 7 feet with my little step coming with 7 feet and jump on the hard go. So that's I was doing that for a while.
And he also attended the St. John's Boys School, as I did. That's where we actually met.
You know, so then I've been doing that for quite some time. And then I went on to, I went to Catholic school for a little bit. No sports was going on there. I was still young. I wasn't thinking about track and field. Very sure. I wasn't even thinking about track and field those days. You know, and then when I went to boys' school, now at about the age of 5. And I keep on thinking about it. If I went to boys' school at the age of 5, I'm trying to figure how old was I when I was doing all these crazy things. You know, I trying to figure these things out. You know, I went to boys' school at the age of 5, and you know, at that time we were athletics in boys' school. It is football, it is cricket, and track and field. Those are our main sports, you know, we had in Antigua at that point in time. And you're in junior 1, you're ABC, as we call it. You're in that class, beginners class, and you know, you're watching all the older guys running standard points every afternoon. When we get break, you know, we have a sand pit in the schoolyard, so everybody's jumping or high jumping or long jumping, and that was great. And then eventually, just to kind of fast forward it, I got to fourth form in boys' school, and I just could not wait to get to form 5, because when you get there, it would age to complete. I'll be 12 at that time, and they did not allow you to take participation in track and field until you're 12 years old. Just about 12, you get a chance to participate competitively in track and field.
Fantastic.
You know, so. And here's where I think my career basically going to start in track and field, and me recognizing what I can do. So at the age of I would say the age of 12, yeah, it was 12. At the age of 12, when we had our first sports day, and you know, when you get to that division, where they're putting you in a house, and I was put in agri. And while I was placed in agri, and then I went over the standard for the standard. No, Washington. I'm Washington man. I'm sorry, Lord. Somebody glad to have me.
As you talk about Washington, we just been joined by none other than Cuthbert Jacobs, who's on the line.
Oh, my brother.
So, hey, greetings, my brother. I have Steve Brown, and I also have Everton Cornelius with us here, man. It's great to see you.
We're not hearing you.
We're not hearing you. So go on, man. Until we.
So as I was, you know. So then, once we get to July 5, I was put in a house and was put in Washington, and then we had standard points. Then I was just beating everybody. Then Omar is the one who now starts running behind him. Omar Charles, yeah.
Right.
So Omar now is in Washington also. You know, he was the house captain.
Okay.
So he's at my house, man, listen, man, you gotta sit down, man, you gotta keep still, you know, I don't want you to get hurt. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what I do every day. It's like a crazy man, you know. I'm just running and jumping, that's what I do. You know, sports day came, and I took part in our sports day. I won all of my events, all of them, standard points. I even threw shot put against Vivi.
Well, yeah.
I was even trying that with
He always talk about
shot put. No, Vivi was good at that.
Okay.
No, all of us competed. I don't remember if they had split up the shot put or it was open, but I know I was trying with standard point. I was trying with Vivi and all those guys because I felt at the time, 12 years old, you know, I felt I could beat them in anything.
Invincible.
Anything.
Yeah, but I recognize too, right? Because I think St. John's Boys School Sports Day was a thing for everybody to thing. No, I think now we got the illustrious one, and we seeing you. How you doing, my brother?
Yes. Loud as we'd like to, but we can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been asking about how he got started.
Yes, and I was just telling Everton that St. John's Boys School Sports Day was a big thing, you know? Was a real big thing.
Yeah, it was absolutely, that's where I realized that I had a talent.
Boy, school boy.
Gone again. It gone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so go on, Everton.
We lost your voice again, Cuthbert.
You see. So as a he come back, he's back.
I don't know what to do to get reception.
Continue.
Okay.
We're working on you, Cuthbert.
Yeah. So as I was saying, then
we're hearing you a little better now.
Oh, this is not good, man.
Eh?
I guess you guys want to have a conversation when I can get in.
All right, feel free.
Okay. Right.
so you want me to continue?
Yes. Yeah. Go
So,
on.
you know, so as I was saying, you know, then I basically competed in all of the events. I think I won the 1, the 2, the 4, the high jump, the long jump. I can't remember. I think I probably won the pole vault too. You know, I tell you something.
That was the old bamboo.
The old bamboo stick in those days, you know. And then, you know, we had that going, and I won that. But during that time is when I met Steve also, and we used to go back by his grandmother, which I thought at the time was his mother. But was his grandmother. You know, when you're small, you know, you try to figure out anything. You know, I thought he said, oh, that's my grandma. You know, and we used to in his backyard also. We did a lot of pole vaulting and running, all little sports around the place.
That's right.
I think it didn't take long for a lot of people to recognize that we have talent. It's just you may have a following, but you don't have people. We don't have what we have today. That's somebody going to say, you know, a man who's good at this, but they follow you. I even know I have guys will just show up just because I'm running. And he's there. They know they're into what I'm doing, and they will encourage me in their own way to continue to do what I'm doing. Never will come out and say, listen, continue, but they're always there to support you. And I think that's is enough encouragement as I was growing up. You know, so we're building that. But I tell you this: after I won all the events at boys' school. I took the exam for academy school. I guess they were somewhat happy to have me, and they grabbed me up and when they brought me into academy school, they also brought in, I think, Vesta Henry. They brought in this guy is Watley Maskell from Cedar Grove, but he's living in Clay Hall. No, Watley Maskell. He was a very good one too, but he never took up the offer. They did offer him a scholarship to come to CAD, but he never
okay.
took it up. He never took it up. But me and Vesta was there for a while. Then I think Vesta left and leave me and left me there. But basically, that's what we had going forward. My first year at academy school, they did not really want me to run any open event because the star boy was Egbert Perry.
Okay.
And then another talk about a whooping.
Okay.
We're in the same house. You know, both of us now, we're in Edmonds.
Yeah.
So I'm in Edmonds in academy school. They're hiding Egbert from me the first year.
Yeah.
And I said, now you just gonna run the relay. So I ran the relay. By the second year, I broke the long jump record, the school long jump record that was there for quite some time. It was held by Finch. I don't remember this. The guy, he had an insurance company.
He had an insurance company.
Right.
Yes.
I can't remember his first name, but Finch.
He was a cricketer too. I think he played wicketkeeper for St. Joseph Academy.
For a while. Okay.
For a while, yeah.
You know, so he had the record, and I broke the record. I think probably now I still have the record, unless somebody break it. I don't know anything about that. We had that going for a while. And then we had Engelhorn coming out of all that, and then we're getting up like in 72, 73 around there. Yes, we had Engelhorn. And Engelhorn was basically, I want to know, he's a Peace Corps, but I think he was more into physical. He was into he loved sports because basketball was his thing, and track and field, and he seemed to get a group of us from academy school, grammar school, PM school, because I think he was at the time attached to PM school, if my memory serves me correct. So, but he got a bunch of us to come and train. And then we went to the Leeward Islands. We went and competed.
Was that the first sort of organized
type of training? Yeah, we had was Engelhorn. Yeah, and then we did Leeward Islands, and then out of Leeward Islands came Carifta, because I remember in '72, and in Carifta, I didn't know anything about Carifta. It's a conversation I heard among Cadbert, CP Charles, if it was Leicester. It was Leicester. I don't think Cadbert was there. It's Leicester, CP Charles, and somebody that went to Carifta in '72, and they were at, I must say Yasco, but top field. They were top field, and they were talking about they went to this track meet, and I'm wondering what are they talking about. By the next year, I found it was Carifta, and they were putting a team together now to go to Carifta, and that was '73, and I made that team. Now it was me, Joe Tex, Chatham, Trevor Attil, Foster Joseph, and next Foster from Pace Village used to run the 400, him, and I can't remember who was, and some girls I know they had like Laurel Carr, and I can't remember, and this other girl, I can't remember her name, but I can sing fun, but I don't remember her name. And you know, we had those people that made up the team in '72, and we went to the Carifta game. That was in '72 was Trinidad. We went to Trinidad at that time in 73, because 72 when they told me about in '73. And I didn't, we performed, but I don't think that we were truly up to the task. And I'll give you my story where that is concerned, and that was is something for me. I went to Trinidad. I'm the long jumper. I'm running the relay. I saw this guy from Jamaica, tall guy with some beautiful strides, man. I said, man, I gotta run just like that. And I start practicing the same day. Man. I'm not concerned about jumping. When they call a long jump, you know, I can't even get up off the board because I'm trying that stuff, man. I'm trying it, I'm working it. Okay, it didn't work out for me that year. Came back to Antigua, man, I practiced to run like that for the rest of the time, and that's the way I run to this day. Okay, and I practice and I got it down pat. Went back to Rifty in '74. Had those guys running for the money in that long jump. I had them beat right down to everybody to the last jump. And when the two guys who beat me in the last jump, Sharp from I think Bermuda passed me, and Chot from Bahamas, he passed me, and I came third.
Yeah, for a man who had started so early, you know, in athletics and stuff like that. Now the president of the Athletics Association, you know, sometimes people don't understand the kind of love that one has, and the position that you is to help those coming on that you didn't have when you were at their age. You understand what I mean? And I've heard a lot of good things about the association, and I want to thank you for looking after our athletes and stuff like that. And I know with your background that they're going to get the best. they're going to get the best from you.
It's a passion and a vision for the sports.
Right.
You know, I've traveled, and what I think a lot of people don't grasp with me, it's me in track and field is not about really me, you know. It is something that I've seen out there
Good.
that I want to bring to my country and tell them, listen, we are as good. We can do it too. We can make it better. We can produce the best. I've seen enough of it when it comes to talent. And and that's what drives me when it comes to track and field. I'm saying we should have had a track years ago, a certified track years ago.
Of course.
But it's how we look at each other as we plan and try to execute certain things. I think sometimes we don't really tap into the right set of people to make sure things happen. And I can say that without a doubt, because I can give you a history of Yasco and all that went down at Yasco and all these different things. So we should have had a track since 1990. As far as I'm concerned, a certified track since 1990. We should have had it. But we sit back and we just allow things to just go by the wayside. And you know, today, 2000 and 2021 is now we're getting a certified track.
Right.
When St. Kitts already got one.
A little handicap there.
Yeah, man, St. Kitts. And don't talk about talent. Because these are things that drives me. I have a vision. There's a vision for that I have for track and field in Antigua. I have that vision. I don't think, honestly within myself, if we take track and field serious, we can be in the top runners in the world. We can produce them. Because I've seen it. I've seen it at the junior level. There's no getting away from that. I'm seeing it at because the same people you're going to meet at the juniors, you're going to meet them at the seniors.
The seniors, that's right.
But it's just about who decide to invest more in the athletes is going to make all the difference in the world. That's what will make the difference in the world. You know. And we need to come to grips with the fact that today in 2021, that sports is a mainstay. It's an economy driver. We have to come about that. It's economics we're talking about, it's money we're talking about. Sports is big money. It's a profession.
That's right. I always call it ABS, which is an art, business, and science.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And once we start to take it down that particular road and start to look at things more broad-basedly, and I like, sometimes I want to say, take the politics out of it and let's start thinking about being nationals. Let's start think about lifting our country to the next level. Because I think sometimes the politics get in the way of we moving forward, and we need to get that out of the sports. And you know, I don't ask me if a politician should be there or they should be there. It's neither here nor there with me. It's what you bring to the table. It's going to make all the difference to me. It's not because let's get politician out of the sports, but if you're a true sportsman and you want to bring the sports to a different level, I guess we ought to be on the same page moving the sports to that level. And that's the way I see it. But when we make when we allow the politics itself, when we allow the politics itself to override the sports, and then you're being stifled in somewhat because then people don't like what you say or like what you do, and you're doing a particular way, then I think you have a problem. You have a problem right there. And I think sometimes that's where we find ourselves fighting against those two walls, of moving the sports in the right direction.
I was just told that we're going to try, Cuthbert again and see whether...
Yeah. Can you hear me this time?
Oh, loud and clear. I mean clear. I'm just kidding.
All right.
No, okay, we got you. Great.
Big difference.
Okay. So I could have heard you guys.
Okay.
And it was I heard Steve's intro and I heard Everton's intro. So, do you want me to pick up on my little spiel for my introduction?
Look, the whole event you wants to know. And our viewing audience, Please.
Okay, so, with me, I have to say specifically that my beginning and motivation started at the St. John's Boys School.
Okay.
And at the St. John's Boys School, that was when I realized, wow, I have some kind of a talent here. Because I remember Everton was a little boy. He was in the lower classes. I heard him talk about how he beat up all of those other fellas. But I was above him. So he wasn't competing with me at that particular time. or something like that. I too ran the 150 and the 100. That was all the junior boys were allowed to do. I guess you could have long jump and stuff like that. But I went through the same kind of in my age group. I remember participating in my very first sports day, and I was Victor Ladora. And from then, can you guys hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yeah, man, we hear you.
Got you, got you.
Go right ahead, buddy.
Oh, okay. And so from that particular point, it was just a joy because, you know, when you win, it motivates you to keep going. But if you're participating in something and you lose, it's not a motivation at all.
Yes.
So I have that motivation. So I matriculated from St.
It's freezing.
Freezing.
We lost you.
So stay.
So we lost you again.
We lost you. We lost you. Yeah, but we're going to get you back. Steve, no, I hear quite a few people would talk about, you had a recreation ground and things, you know, it looked like things were better when we used to run on grass than this thing now, you know. Some would come with that kind of argument. What would you say to that?
No real comparison. The grass track is what we had then, and there were several schools had a track in place. I think probably the most difficult track to run on back then was the one at St. Joseph Academy.
That and maybe boys' school.
It had some really tight.
And you thought that they had the right size and so?
Really
I
tight.
don't know. I remember size. I might go 150 track.
Really tight turns. But looking back now, I believe the track at St. Joseph Academy and earlier at boys' school and even the bottom field track at Antigua Grammar School was excellent preparation for running indoors.
Okay.
Because you know, indoors you're on much smaller tracks. So it was good. I don't like to look back or to blame anyone, I think, but I would mention that I was really surprised that the powers that be did not attempt to have some grass fields prepared for the youngsters to train on. And even now, we can't afford to depend solely on the YASCO facilities.
Okay.
The schools need to have some areas for training, and we need to get back to having a sand pit, and even if it's a smaller track, on our school compounds. Having said that, I hope that the YASCO facility will be managed in such a way that everyone with potential would have the opportunity to find out what it's like to run on a track of that quality, track of that standard, what it is to just go there and see, you know, see what a certified track looks like, to get the feel of being in the open with a large track, a 400-meter track, and also hope that proper management will be put in place, that there'd be a good maintenance program. And
I hope that would be the responsibility of the Athletics Association rather than government.
I don't believe it's the responsibility of the Athletics Association. The Athletics Association would come in to play, to give advice, to assist.
Okay.
But there needs to be a group in place with paid, dependable personnel
The ESCO board also? Yeah.
whatever they decide to call it, that you have people there on a daily basis, making sure the track is clean, making sure the facilities are clean, and hopefully we'll have facilities there for meetings, for conferences, a couple of classrooms, a conference room, training facilities, maybe a gym, but a place where people can go and be prepared. I would also like to see somehow, whether it's a special hall or incorporated into the rooms that are going to be there, some place to exhibit photographs and to watch videos of past athletes and present athletes, and to study the athletes that our people are going to have to compete against. But we can't have, cattle running through the grounds. We can't have vehicles running on the tracks, and things like that. So it has taken a long time, and we need to, as Everton said, throw the politics out the window and concentrate on the task at hand. The task at hand is that having announced to the world for several decades now that we have great potential here, we now need to say, we are here and beat us if you can, because we have excellent potential, and we need to make sure that people get what they need. We need to make sure that the children have coaches who are involved in continuing education, coaches who can become involved in assisting athletes who might become injured, and just generally coaches who are concerned about Antigua and Barbuda. There's absolutely no reason why even in the next Olympics, which we know might happen this summer, that we cannot see a breakthrough. Having said that, we're looking for a breakthrough. Let it be known that Antigua and Barbuda already have in the name of Fred Sobey someone who has held a world record and who still holds a world record in track. And so we're not asking anybody to break the ice. We're asking them to continue what was begun several decades ago, and to show the world and prove to the world that we can be known for being exceptionally good at something.
Fantastic. Here's a question, because you mentioned something about there should be some sort of data or record of persons who have represented Antigua and maybe have gone on to university and have done well overseas. We need to have something on them, that because what I find now is that people my age, we have seen things, and we can relate to other people what we have seen about past athletes, right? And how good they were, and the potential they had, and they could have made it with more support, and whatnot on the world circuit, right? But when we passed on and dead, that's it, because we have no videotape of these people. But at least we could try to get, in inside the Athletics Association office or something, Frederick Sobey, and everything about Sobey, so that people can come and read that. Everything about Everton Cornelius there, everything about Steve Brown, everything about Lester Flax, everything about Cuthbert Jacobs, all these people who have done yeoman service for Antigua and Barbuda that the young people don't know about. And this is one of the reasons why we are having the show, is to see how best we can enlighten people, about of the past and why they are in the present, and how we can work together in getting a better future.
And it shouldn't be just about those of us who had the opportunity to go off and earn degrees and or to participate at the Olympics. The story has to also be about those who
Of course,
did not get, who were good at what they did,
and did
but
not.
didn't get the opportunity, or weren't able to take up the opportunity when it became available, because they're the ones who instilled that sense of keen competition in us. Yes, we were blessed in being able to go off, but so many other people. Everton mentioned Sylvester Henry Vester, an excellent athlete. Cuthbert, no, he also mentioned Egbert Perry. Egbert Perry is an excellent.
I think we got Cuthbert back. And,
Is he back?
you still have a mic issue. Go on, Steve. Yeah.
Right, Egbert Perry was an excellent athlete, and given a different set of circumstances, probably would have gone to school and run track at university. But he was a great encourager.
Fantastic. I think we got him now. So yeah.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Oh man, we hearing you.
Good.
Okay, and I see Lester's picture is there. Has Lester joined the group?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Well,
You're still wearing those watch.
good evening, gentlemen.
Lester. Let's see. Lester, you still wearing dark?
I'm sorry.
You still wearing dark shades during the winter?
No, this is bright sunshine in California.
All right. You're fending off the sun there. All the kind of glasses you get when you're in the army.
No. These, you what this is?
Foster Grant.
They're very effective. That's the reason I got those.
All right. Make things brighter than they are, right? Bert.
Yeah.
But go on, Bert. And Lester, feel free to join in whenever.
Okay, cool.
Okay, what I would like to pick up on is what Steve and Everton was talking about. Now, if you were to go to the Bahamas and you land at the airport, you will see that they have all of their Olympic athletes on the wall. Not necessarily people who have world records or anything like that, but to give recognition to the legacy of people from that country. Now, let me mention Henry Greer. Irvin, do you know who remember Henry Greer?
Of course. Yes.
Okay. And what about Wesley Barrow? You remember Wesley Barrow?
Yes.
Certainly.
Okay. There's a guy named Sports. You remember him?
Oh, yes. Jacobs. Agri Jacobs.
Okay, absolutely. Okay. So these are the kinds of people that we should be paying homage to and give recognition to in some place so that people could see, to remember, and teach
Antigua have had and will continue to have talent. Okay. Now, what we need to do, okay, we can have this conversation now and start, but there needs to be some kind of action and inaction. Okay. Somebody else can jump in.
Lester,
Yeah, Lester.
Lester,
I can't really hear you so well.
you can't hear us so well, can you?
Well, we're hearing you.
Say that again.
We're hearing you, but we're not seeing you yet.
I tell you what, I'll be off the road in about 10 minutes. I'll be able to speak more comfortably.
I go and jump on.
I'm hearing you guys.
Okay. We're hearing you better now, but we're waiting another 10 minutes, yeah.
All right, well, I guess we're having technical difficulties from the stateside point of view. And I don't know if you guys heard me.
Yeah, oh yes.
Oh, yes.
Trying to make it.
Oh, yes, we did. We did.
In every facet, in every walk, you know, Antigua have a world warrior champion. How many people know that?
That's right.
That's true.
And not just once.
No?
Yeah.
Not just one.
Breaking up again.
We're losing you again.
We're losing you again.
But, you know,
But anytime you get in, you just go right ahead. Okay.
right, and as Cuthbert say, we're talking sports, not just track and field.
Yeah.
And we need to recognize, you know, so many of our athletes, so many of our past athletes, so many of our present struggling athletes, especially in this, what has been a difficult year. And we can't afford to forget any of them. And what assistance can be given. There are athletes out there.
You guys should just go on with the show, and then if and when we can chime in, then I guess we...
Go right ahead, because we're hearing you loud and clear. Yeah.
Well, I'll just pick up on what, basically what Steve was saying.
Go ahead, yeah.
Because
Okay.
you have that, but just to pick up on the who is who, and that's what I call it. Who is who in sport?
Right.
Who is who in sports in Antigua? It is a discussion that I've been having with a gentleman over the last, I would say, 2 weeks, and it's something that he had thrown at me before, and he came up with a name. I said, no. We need it. Who is who in sports in Antigua?
That's right.
We can chronicle one volume of that, of all the sports. But once we start building it, we can break it off to who is who in track and field, who is who in football, who is who in cricket, and we can break it down, and we can have different, if you want to call them books, that we can have, addition to the books that we can put out there to the public. But I'm in full agreement with the idea of us really having a history. It is something that drives me, something that I'm trying to get done, and I'm really trying to get it done. You know, because I keep on saying to the youngsters, listen, you jump 25 feet, and you think that you're the first person to jump 25 feet. So I started with a guy, just last week, a young guy asked me, he said, Mr. Cornelius, what's the longest distance you jump? I said, 25 feet. I said, and hold it, let me give you the amount of people who jump 25 feet. I said, let's start with Lester Bird, Lester Benjamin, Calvin Greenaway, you know, I said, James Brown, and I say, I can find more people who keep on thinking, you know. He said, what? I said, yes. Right. You know, I said, Noble is the last person from Antigua who jumped 25 feet. Now, it's amazing that I'm calling those names, right? Because everybody thinks that the actual sports start with them.
That's right.
That is my problem. And I'm saying to them, no, there's a history. And I find sometimes we concentrate too much on the present, and when as administrator of the sports, and not really have an entourage of people around us who can really develop the history of the sports. I think that is something we need to add to whatever part of the organization, the federation as we have. We need to add that wing to it. That's the listen, you are responsible for the history of the sports. We need to find people who can pick it up and run with it and really put it out there. That people can, I need to look at the wall, and I'm going with that because it is something that I'm telling you before this year finish, I know I'm going to get it done. As much as I can put on the wall at Jasco, I am going to get that done. I already got all of the frames and everything. Lester Brett had sent me some information. I'm going to contact him so I can get back that information. I know I had it, but I misplaced it. I'm going to get that information from him. I'm going to get the information for Wesley. I can get Wesley information. He's there, and I'll get the information for Gray. I would try to tap into as many people as I can to give me information, and at least in the 60s, because I want to go as far back as even in the 50s, because I think Lester Bird was in the 50s anyway. So I want to go as far back as I can go. I need to speak with him, so him can give me some idea who the people we had around and blah blah blah. Somebody told me about Dr. Schober being a hurdler, and she won a medal in the West Indian Championship in hurdles. I'm saying, who knows these things?
That's right.
You know, and it's out of my research, and when we were having our sports award, that I tend to dig, and you know, all this stuff, people start coming at you with, you know, once you say, I nominate Mervyn, so I say, but what about Steve? Well, when Steve do so-and-so, and Lord,
That's right.
you know, so there are no people even get your name for what you find it. And they give you information. But I think that this is how we're going to develop and drive the sports in Antigua and Barbuda. The young people must have something to shoot for. They must look on the board and see Mervyn name up there and say, boy, you know, I want to be as good as Mervyn. And this is what's going to make me go out and practice harder. But Mervyn is still alive. I can talk to Mervyn.
That's right.
And Mervyn can give me some pointers. I can start to Steve. He used to pole for, he's a good poler. He can give me some pointers. Manu say used to jump. I can talk to him too. But we need to have resource people out there. A lot of people is still around. And they can be our resource people for our athletes who can come and lecture them, talk to them, motivate and be motivational speaker to encourage them in the sports and say, this is how far you can go in it. You know, and the things that you can achieve from track and field or any sports in general. Right, and this is something that I think that we have to really zero in on as sporting organization and make it happen, because it is very important to the survival of sports in our country. We are distracted by so many different things that you didn't have to deal with. We didn't have to deal with that. When we go home, we put on, should we go play cricket or football?
Exactly.
I'll run up and down the place like a crazy man, as I like to say, you know. That's what we had. We had nothing else.
With or without shoes.
Or without shoes, you know. We are doing that. And I'm saying it is time enough that we let people know how we arrive at the gate.
At the right.
You know, how we arrive at the gate. And they now have to get us into the door, and they can look back and say, man, you know, this group of guys that brought us so far, let us see if we can take it to the next level. We didn't win a medal in the Olympics, but we got into the finals in the Olympics.
Yes,
And we didn't win a medal at the World Cup, but we got to the semi-finals in the World Cup of
And
football.
improve on that, yeah.
And let us ask ourselves why. Because sometimes the question that we need to ask ourselves in many cases, why? What happened? Why we didn't achieve? Why we couldn't get any further? And then when you see, when you put that in sync, then you can see, okay, it might be some finance here, it might be some facilities over here, we don't have enough public interest here, and then you ask them, how can we fix that? And once we can fix it, then we can move the sports, forward, because then we'll be providing all of the necessary, let's use the word equipment, we can provide all the necessary equipment or support that our athletes need to at least reach to the next level. And I think these things are very important going forward. You know, it's things that we have to look at. You know, if we're coming back to our days, I'm saying I come back to our days growing up, we didn't, the kind of distraction, we didn't have that. As I said, we didn't have that. We had, I think we had 4 sports, and throwing that ball inside, the girls used to play netball. So then we had 5. Because it was cricket, football, track and field, basketball came in the late 70s, and we had netball. And that's the sports that we had played. So we didn't have all. Today you have internet, you have WhatsApp, you have this, you have that, you have everything. The kids in them seem to live on the phones. So we have to find a way to get them into the field. And how we get them into the field? We can get them in the field using this too, you know. We can use the same things that they love to get them out there to run, and to jump, to play football, to play basketball, to do whatever we want them to do. But we have to know how now to reach them.
Through that.
Yeah, through this. We have to know to motivate them
And
through
we
that.
have to let the athletes and their parents and supporters become more and better aware of the possibilities. Not everyone can find, 30, 40, 80, 200,000 US dollars, to pursue a degree. And if you can assist yourself by participating in athletics, in
Football.
I'm using athletics in its broadest sense, but participating in sports, there continue to be scholarships out there which are available. Unfortunately, I've had instances where parents have said, they don't want him to, you don't need any athletic scholarship. We want him to get an academic scholarship. It's the same thing.
What's the difference?
You're going to sit in the same classroom. As a matter of fact, the requirements for retaining your athletic scholarship are actually more demanding than the requirements for retaining your position in school.
University, yes.
And the exposure that you get as a result, the friendships which you develop, the travel that can take place, it's an eye opener.
We broke in?
We have parents who don't believe that you can blend academics with sports, and I've heard several people talk about this. And so exams are going to commence in May, and so come January you can't train because you have to study. Now it's been proven over and over since time immemorial that a healthy mind is a good mind, and it also teaches you how to manage your time.
Time management, yes.
You train now. When I went to Murray and I trained every day in season, you trained 5 days a week, and you competed one day per week generally. Sometimes you competed 2 or 3 days in a week. That was not the norm, but you still had to fulfill your academic responsibilities. Anybody who gets an opportunity to better themselves academically should take it, whether it's a 2-hour course or a 4-year course. Take advantage of the opportunity. And parents, stop withdrawing your children from participating in sports and other activities. Some people prevent them from participating in church because they have to study. It doesn't work that way in the world.
But life is not that way.
You have to balance everything, and you leave out one, and it puts the child at a disadvantage.
It's like going home. It's like.
But you mentioned, and Everton has also mentioned about like the support of parents and stuff like that, right? But I know that I've talked to quite a few parents about their kids, how good they are at a particular sport, and they say, "Some here, they're all here." They say, "Well, you never see. You need to go and support those, support those kids."
I think that's one of the problems that we face, that you don't really get the type of support. I think it's supposed to become a drop off. You babysit them until I get finished my business, and then I come back and pick them up.
They look at it that way.
people need to understand that when you support your child or your children who is involved in sports, that they tend to excel more in the sports because they try to at least do things that their parents can be proud of them. So they push themselves a little bit more. But come back to some of the things that Steve was saying in terms of what you can really get out of sports itself. We're looking at the situation that we're talking about. You can get a scholarship. And that versus someone saying, well, I don't want my son or my daughter to get a track and field scholarship, but I'll say this to you. You don't go to a different classroom. You don't get different professors. And the demands, as Steve said, in sports is greater. And greater in a sense is no excuse. You leave school, and I used to leave school on a Wednesday to go to Florida. We're driving from Murray to Florida for track meet. And I get back Sunday night. And I have an exam Monday morning. There's no excuse. I can go to my professor and say, well, I'm a part of the track team, and I had a track meet. He say, well, Mr. Collins, you should have told me that. But anyway, come tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to my office. You gotta take that test. You ain't got no, so whether if you can get some study in the night, we can give you one night.
Well, you're traveling to, eh?
You better travel with those books. No, you don't have a choice.
That's right.
When we get on the bus to drive down to Florida, I'm saying everybody's in the books. You're in the books going and coming because there's no excuse going forward. And the demand is still greater because I'm telling you, in university, when you're on a track team, or in any sports, you have to maintain at least a C average. And a C is not 60% of the work. A C is 70% of your schoolwork. 70%, not 60, 70. You have to retain that 70 average. You drop below that, you have one semester to get it back wage, because I found myself in that position. Because when I went to school, I'll tell you much as this, when I went to university first, I was so fascinated watching TV. I'm down in the lounge for alcohol and I'm watching TV. By the time my second semester, coach called me, he said, Cornelius, next semester, you must have a C. You're below the average. I said, Coach, don't worry about anything, I'm good. I'm not lying, I'm leaving school. I said, Coach, don't worry. Called me in Canada. I said, Coach, what are you worrying about? I'm good. I'm good. I returned back. When I returned to school, right, I didn't even look up until when I graduate. I didn't look up until when I graduate. I said, trust. But you have these things in front of you. It's a motivation. It's a motivation for you to get a scholarship. And I think it's a greater treatment if you get an athletic scholarship, and you can go to school and you can get a degree, and I'm telling you, you're more rounded. I remember when I was on our track team, a coach looked at me one day and coach said, listen, Cornelius, you see 1, 2, 3, I call him by name, you see Pat Chimes, you see Keto Mealy, you see Jerry Odlin, you see so and so and so, and he pointed out, he said they're all A student. But he said, let me tell you something, they're not as mature as you are.
Okay, we got cut, man, again?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we see you cut.
But but you have these given situation that you have to deal with. That people think that you get a scholarship, that maybe you get a scholarship, they're not too smart, you can get an academic scholarship. What? And the demands are the same. You want to be a space cadet? Is them the class you have to take to be a space cadet?
That's right.
Whether you're a track man, or you're a football man, or you're coming straight academics, makes no difference.
No difference.
I remember I spoke to one of my professors, then he said to me, I said, Professor, I had so to do. He said, Cornelius, let me explain this. I will give you this. I think this is the best thing I ever came across in university. I'm pretty decent at maths. I'm going into a maths class. The professor said, I'm going to give you 13 exams. You can drop your 2 worst grades. I did one of the exam, and be honest with you, I couldn't figure the stuff out. I got 27. I said, no problem. It's all B's I have so far. I have no problem. I did this. I walking down the hallway one afternoon. I didn't know the man know me. The man just stopped me. Mr. Cornelius, can I have a word with you? Like, what is going on? I said, what do you mean, sir? He said, you're not doing too. He said, "Is that one class? I one exam I failed out already." He said, "You're not doing too good in my class. I have to talk to Bill about you. That's my coach now." I'm saying, "But this man know I one track." He said, "Yeah." He said, and then I thought he said, "Yes, I've been following you in track and field, and you've been doing pretty good. But I see you're dropping something here, so I need to talk to Bill so Bill can get you a tour." I said, "I'm all right, so don't worry." I went through okay, but the challenges remain, that nothing changed. Nobody's going to give you don't get handouts. And I think one of the things that changed a lot of university, remember there's some years ago they had some university for people going to school and couldn't do it because they had them in sports and they were giving them grades. You think anybody give you anything? You think anybody give you anything? I know something I said, boy, I wish somebody give me a grades and shoot your boy, but it's a really jive of the warrior. It's rough, because you don't have no time off or time in. It's just you. It's all about you and what you want. If you want to go to school and drop out, you can go and drop out. It's up to you. Nobody gonna miss you. I will tell you that. Nobody gonna miss you. But if you really want that degree, you have to really put your head down and truly work for it. And that's what it's all about. So it's no less whether you're going to get an academic scholarship, or you're going to get a track scholarship or football scholarship. Look at them. They have Battle Road, you got a football scholarship. He's a lawyer. Okay? You have, I'm an engineer. Okay? And I can point Steve is an architect. I can point to so many people that got scholarship and track scholarship or athletic scholarship, you want to put it at the broader base, athletic scholarship. And if you really want it, you work for it. It's not that we are dumb people or anything, because some people think because if you get a scholarship, too bright, if you get a football scholarship or no, it's listen. All right. My parents is good. When I remember when I got my scholarship, I told my dad, when I told my mom I'm going to university, my mom said, "You serious?" I said, "Mom, that's all I ever wanted in my life." She give me $700. I'm buy my ticket. I'm gonna get up to the school. I can hardly pay the other half of my school fee. And that time school fee was about what? Maybe 6, 7. I think about the difference I had to pay was about $600. Right. And I couldn't even pay that. I couldn't even pay all that. It was $610. I couldn't even pay all of it at the time when I got there. And my brothers and sisters, they took care of that. But you got a scholarship, and you were there. And you never regret it. So it's things that we have to really push to our young people. Let them know these are what's out there for you in sports. You can be as big as anybody that you want to be in this world. You can do it through sports.
I remember Father Brown at grammar school, right? Father Brown grammar school. I think one parent came there one time and said to Father Brown that, "Look, I said, my school's here for your teaching." Father Brown said, "No, I'm not here to teach him. He's here to learn." Okay, Cuthbert, please. I thought I heard Cuthbert a while ago. No?
But let me just jump back on something we talked about earlier. We're talking about how my movement within the sporting world in terms of my upbringing. As I said, once I got to academy school, I need to come back to that. And sometimes people need to know, because I get to academy school, I competed there for about 3 years. And then I went on to State College because they had just opened the technical wing. That's something I had an interest in. I took the exam, I went there. They asked me to do a second year, so a bunch of us could have gone out to Canada and studied and come back. But I was so in tune in athletics. I went for the first month of extra class. I said, "But it's an evening class, boy. This stuff not gonna work out for me." And I dropped it, and I continued to do track and field. And funny enough, we're maybe about 3 years before that, Fred Sobey had sent some scholarship down. 2 scholarships he had sent down. And the scholarship was given to Joe Tex and Trevor Attil. I went out there. When I came down to top field, Red Sam looked at me and said, "Cornelius, you're a sprinter too?" Once he said that, I know out the pitch. I get excited. I ran anyway. So, but they got the scholarship. And being the whole, I'm in Antigua, I'm working, already had 1 child at the time. And, one morning I'm going to work. And who pulled up to the side of me? Trevor Attil. He said, "Man, where you going?" I said, "I to work." He said, "Man, jump in and give me a ride down the road." And he said, "So you still in, what are you doing, man?" I said, "I'm still in track and field, still going in track." He said, "So what you have done?" I said, "I jumped 25 feet. He said, "What, you crazy?" He said, "Man, take this number, man, call coach. Write to coach and tell coach." And so I wrote to the coach. The coach wrote me back a letter with a scholarship in it. He didn't write me a letter, and then he wrote a letter, sent the scholarship with the letter, and said, "Listen, sign this if you want it. If you don't want it, put back in the email, send it back to me." That's what he said in the letter, straight up. Right? So, and sometimes I look at it, and you have to wait your turn. Because I always believe if something is for you, you're going to get it. It was not. And see, who comes right back when I got my scholarship? Trevor Attil. I got to Murray, and that was history. The rest is history as you go along. So I look at these things in life, and I got out there I have traveled, as I tell you, I've traveled the length and breadth when it comes to track and field. I don't go to track meet for style. I don't go to track meet for style. I don't go to sit down to watch other people run. I go watch my athletes beat other people. That's me. That's just me. The people just don't want people. Sometimes people say, oh yeah, I love Johnny White, it hurt me bad. Because I think it was in 1988, if I'm not mistaken, it could be in the 90s. I went to South America with a track team. And I didn't think the athletes are very serious. And just to see the athletes, I didn't think they were very serious. And I came back, I said, let me tell you all something. Do not ever ask me to travel with a team, a senior team out of Antigua again. I am not in that. I'm just not in that. What I am about is people who are serious about the sports. I say you can send me any place with the junior athletes, I'll go with them because they're hungry. They want to beat everybody.
That's right.
And that's what I love. And I say until the seniors can get their act together, and for a number of years, I just stay with me going to place with the seniors because I've seen serious talent in our junior athletes. They have made me proud so many times. Sometimes I think I own the stadium. Because when you show up to a track meet, and when the finals come, again, you're competing. I'll take you back as far as 2005. 2005 we went to, and I can take it to the meets too, because then CJ did the same thing down in South America. We went to Morocco in 2005 to compete in the World Youth Championship. When we had two athletes, man, when I got to the stadium, I saw Germany, Russia. You see all this big country, they have the musso and the physio and all, and they have the tent and pool, I'm just like, Lord of mercy, what are we getting ourselves in here? And the people call 100 meters. Bam, my girl advance. I said, well, things look good. When it comes down to the top 8, we in that, You going to the final? We going to the finals now. I guess we're going to the finals. America, Jamaica, Trinidad, Antigua. Okay? And I think this girl was from somewhere in South America. And I'm telling you, it's all knockout. That same knockout is all knockout people inside that finals.
Fantastic.
Man, I sit down in that stadium there, man, I feel like I own the stadium. My boy sitting up next to me, he said, Carlos, boy, let's just play like say you own the place. I said, this is what you want to take to the next level.
Yeah, and then don't you say to yourself that, look, if we only had this,
yes, all the time.
where we could have been,
Money, man, money. Investment.
Lester, yeah, you were joining us, eh? Good. We're happy to see that you got home safe.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Gentlemen, I am forever grateful for the
That's correct. Yeah, I didn't get in touch with him. No.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, next time I will try calling him also.
Yeah. Tell him to expect a call from me.
Yeah, no problem. I will call him and let him know that, I wish I had known him, but that he was going to be weekend. I tell you, I don't know the song, and I tried all my best to leave where, to come back to where I am, but it still didn't work out. So we were driving most of the time that you guys were on. But definitely I will try to coordinate with Fred. I try to see you guys, I don't know if Steve is still there.
Yes, Master.
Yeah. How is everybody doing?
We're doing good.
Now I see you guys.
Yeah. But Lester, tell us. Lester, I'd asked these guys in the studio about their experiences and whatnot, right? And I know that you did a nice little piece that you sent me that I read, right? We have encouraged you to, that you should do a book, right? And I know that I know you had been. Y'all had been there in the 70s, which is not too far from the 60s where there was segregation and racism and all these kind of things, But I know coming from Antigua where we were the majority, we always felt strong even we outnumbered anywhere because we've never felt, hoses, water and dogs at us, So we always felt pretty proud of ourselves, How was that feeling there for you, man? What was that experience that you talked about?
Well, I'm going to tell you that Murray, Mississippi is a wonderful little city. It's really a crazy little town with very kind little people. There are wonderful. Okay, that is bad. So I will just say that the town that we were in was just a beautiful campus. And I found that the people in general were very welcoming, and I really didn't have any problem, not being racist, sexual, or anything else. To be honest with you, I have no problem with government stepping up that was recommended that stepping up. But we still maintain some sort of a presence because we were a important campus, because we made up the major, most important part of the track team. We dominated 100, 200, 400, 800, long jump, triple jump, high jump, and the 4x1 and the 4x4. So, we really were a force in our conference. So, if it wasn't for the presence of these other guys, it wouldn't have been as easy. I was very fortunate to have a lot of my students there on campus, and not all of them were on the track team. Stephen Costello was there studying in business school, and several other people came after. Somebody mentioned Trevor Hatfield, and I know Everton came after I left, and that lady, she used to be Samuel. Samuel. Yeah. She's in charge of something to do with sports in Antigua. I can't remember.
She's now the director of sports. Director of sports.
Okay. Wonderful. But we had let me tell you something. They had a gentleman on our team named Gary Croft. He was an intermediate hurdler. And he had the feeling that he was going to find a way to beat us. But all of us, Bert, myself, and whoever is there, we said we're going to drop his guts on the damn track. So we started running 200. We had to do 10, 200. I'll never forget this. And we ran those 200s in 22 high, 23 low. Kind of like one after another split. They walk the curve and they do it again. Boy, when we finished with that guy, he left his lunch for 3 days on the track. they call it, WIU. And this is the first time I'm going inside an indoor soccer field facility. And in my first few months at Maui, I was a long jumper, triple jumper. And when I look at the runway, how nice it is with the artificial surface, everything is clean, and them guys, they have this slanted race perfectly level.
Jumping up a mountain.
And you know, you have to pretend that you're not a new visitor. You know, it's way out and everybody know that we can't do that. So I already learned the first time I went to the house. Just act like if you belong here. Don't be so I walked inside the indoor shop, like pretending like, oh, this is the second nature. I already seen this before. First time I was such a nice and I always like going back to that stadium and Purdue in Indiana. That was another place that have beautiful indoor track. Man, I tell you, these big universities spend a lot of money and they check up these facilities. Some of their indoor facilities look like they cost more than our outdoor track at Maui State. But anyway, we got to it. Fortunately for me, when I got there, they had stopped using the whole cinder track at the whole stadium, and they had just built a brand new stadium. So that's where we used to train and have our meets when we had home meets. It was just a wonderful experience, man. I mean, really regretted that I got to get into the Olympics. Not because I was qualified or whatever, but in 1976, I stayed in the school to finish my degree because I knew if I went to Montreal and then came back to Maui, I was a poor boy. I didn't have any money to pay for my tuition and room and board and all that. Although back then it was very, very inexpensive compared to now. But, and then again in 1980, the boys started the game, so I didn't get a chance. But my experience in Chesterfield took me all over the United States, Canada, the Caribbean. I'm eternally grateful because we had a good one. We had a good one at Maui State. I mean, we were well known for our 4x400 relay team when we went to Florida relays and different places. Everything on. And Fred Toby had a reputation as being chairman of the board. We call it board because back then indoor tracks were mostly board tracks, 160 bank on those tracks, man. And in the match, so really come from in the world, he would key 91, he would catch you on the 500, 600, those were his specialties indoors. And I think I heard he said he broke the 500 indoor world record once too. And I think he did it at Madison Square Garden, if I'm thinking correctly. But those were some wonderful days. Mr. Jacob, are you back?
Let me just jump in.
Yes, please jump in, yeah.
Hey Mervyn, I see you looking at the time, man.
We have to do it again.
Are we running out of time because
We are, but we can give you another 5 minutes. Yeah, go on.
Let me say this. No, you're gonna have to invite me back so I can.
Oh yes, you also definitely buddy. Definitely.
So I'm not gonna say much more other than the fact that I think this is an excellent start for us. Not only for track and field, but there's so many areas of talent that we have in Antigua and people that we need to recognize. So as a beginning, this needs to be a continuous process. And Everton, you keep fighting that fight. And Steve, you keep fighting that fight. And Mervyn, I know you're going to do the right thing for us to keep this legacy alive. So I'm going to say that because if you don't invite me back, I'm going to come to Antigua.
I hear you. We're not going to invite you back because you want to come to Antigua.
You been coughing?
Yeah, they come there and I'm coughing.
But before you go, tell them about the race we had in Murray. Myself, your friend. Tell them about that race. What your friend tried to do to me that night.
You mean when you beat me the first time?
The twilight meet.
Okay, well, you have to understand, I was out of school for 3 years. And, I mean, Lester and we drove down to Murray for the twilight meet. And I just knew I was going to win that 100-yard. Me see somebody in front of me can't catch me up.
You know what your friend did to me? They keep me up all night and laughing, you know. They want to get to chop me here. Boy, I will keep you up all night. Say, can't run in the morning.
But that reminded me, I don't know if Lester talked about this. We went to a track and field meet in Knoxville, Tennessee. There's a guy named Reggie Williams, Ivory Crockett, and Hasley Crawford.
Yeah, I hear them guys.
From Trinidad? Okay.
Yeah.
Ivory Crockett ran 8.9 seconds, 100 meters. And
100 yards.
No, 100 yards.
100 yards.
Yeah.
And it wasn't recognized because it wasn't a USTFF sanctioned meet. And so what happened, Hazen Crawford from Trinidad, they planned it. He went and started harassing Reggie Jones. What's his name? Reggie Jones?
Williams.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Yeah, harassed him, made him get real upset. In the meantime, Ivory was just over there, just cooling out. I was in that race. And when the gun went, man, Ivory took off like the wind. Beat Reggie Jones. Hasten came second, and I think I came fourth or something like that. But the other point that I want to make here, Mervyn, I sent you a picture of me winning a race in 21.4 seconds.
Right.
200. But let me tell you about that. You see, in April, that is when the outdoor season starts.
Yeah.
Most places in the United States in April.
Yeah.
March, they usually have the National Indoor Championships, and then in April, they have the outdoor meet. Now imagine in Kentucky in the spring, it's never above 45 degrees, it's usually cold, and all the guys from the islands, nobody like cold weather.
That's true.
And imagine,
I didn't quite catch that.
some people even run in their sweat bottoms. Okay, so that meet, although I ran 21.4 seconds, given all, on a perfect day, 70, 80 degrees, the wind is not blowing, you have a tailwind, I probably could have run a 20.5, 20.6. So sometimes it's not about the time, there you go, that was it. Sometimes the times that you win depends on the condition. Jesse Owens ran in the 1936 Olympics, he ran on a cinder track. And look at his times. And they say if you were to compare that race that Jesse Owens ran with Bolt, although Bolt would have been 14 feet ahead of him, he still was competitive. But if you compare those times, Jesse Owens was a legend. Back in those
Yeah, it's not just about time. The shoes that they were wearing were like 12 pounds compared to the 9-ounce shoes that boys would wear. I'm still than running on something like cotton or the new material that they just put out in Antigua. That's a huge difference. You see, as far as I'm concerned, time is not the only factor. When you compete for university, your coach's main objective is to win track meet.
That's it.
To do well in the dual meet tri-meets, the four-way meets. When they go to big meets down at UT Knoxville or go to meets in Tennessee or whatever, Florida, we used to shine in the relays, right? Especially the 4x4. And that puts your school's name on the map. It's like when Jamaran came out of Murray State. Everybody know about Murray State because this guy was phenomenal, you know. I think he was the first pick in the first round when he came out. But the directors and coaches, their main concern is getting their school name seen and recognized. And I think that's all the job of doing that. All of us, from one period or another, you know, we took our craft seriously, and we really put Murray State's name out there, which was the objective in the final analysis. So I can repeat that it was just a wonderful experience going to that university with all the Africans and the West Indian people, the Caribbean people that were there. We had a great time, man. We used to control the fourth floor in White Hall. You remember those great birds?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right.
Best jump ever. Put down that board.
Okay, so back to the host.
Yeah.
Yes, my buddy. Hey, no, as you suggested, we've got to do this again, you know. And next time we want to get the man, Frederick Sobey. You know, that so much has been talked about, you know. But every time there is a track and field argument or a discussion or debate, the name Frederick Sobey comes up. You know, you guys, Lester Flax and Cuthbert Jacobs, and I'm so happy that we had the opportunity to share, you know, with our viewers, you know, as to the name to the face there, man. You know.
Absolutely.
So it's great, man. Well, we have to wrap up for now.
Thank you very much, brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, brother. Steve, Everton.
You're welcome, guys.
Oh yeah, keep it up. We'll be in touch.
And I have a picture of the race. I have a picture of the race here in the Cuthbert.
Yes.
I have a picture of the race here, but I don't think it's bright enough. I don't think it's bright enough to come up on the screen, but I'll show it to you.
We did put up one with you, you know.
Yeah, but remember, I still have Morris State 100 and 200 record.
Oh, I have the long jump. I'll leave that to you.
No, I'm still the fastest one Murray had in the 100, 200. So,
That's true. You want Tommy Turner? The two best.
Well, hey, to you two guys, those records stay forever. Nobody gonna ever break them.
I'm telling you. They'll be there forever. Yes, man.
Well, you know, it's just like athletics, you know, track and field. Good man. A program like this, it runs so fast, you know. It happens so fast. I suppose because of our guests.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. But as
We have a lot of stories to tell.
I know, and we want to hear them. So we're gonna have you back here again, you know. But I just wish to thank you all, Cuthbert and Lester, and also my studio guests for sharing their story and you know, sharing some very good information. So on behalf of our producer, Mark Charles, and our sponsors, platinum sponsor, which is ACB Caribbean and Cecil Charles Group of Companies, along with electrical and plumbing, and also Blue Waters, we say goodbye until next time, and be safe, and we'll see you another time.
thank you.